Hello again. As you know, I love my cats. I got a lot of them. Well, I have this mama cat that we got her from someone else as a kitten. Mental issues. She is really sweet. But anything disturbs her in any degree at all, she goes immediately to vicious. Well, it's my job to step into that, to develop a rapport with her from the time she was little, and I did from the first day we brought her home, working with her to gain some ground and to teach her how to be better and to not have to go from one extreme to the other like she's bipolar. And with me, she has developed a degree of a middle ground. With other people, no. But with me, she has developed that because it's my job to shape that in her. Talking about such reminds me of a few things, interesting things. Right after we got married, I took my wife, went around shopping some of the local different karate schools that were accessible. I could put my wife in. Figure a few years in the dojo on the mat at a decent school, and then she'd be ready to start sparring with me. So we're looking at some different ones. So we go to this one school, and it looked pretty good. The price was really nice. There was a man and a woman instructor there, and the woman took my wife and was kind of showing her some things and talking to her about martial arts and stuff like this and things. And the man instructor who ran the school was out on the mat practicing, and he had some fantastic moves. Man, he reminded me of me when I was 17 years old doing that stuff. I don't try those flying kicks too much anymore. All right, that's young man's game. But he looked pretty, very smooth, very polished in all his moves. And then his wife was the secretary at the school. She comes walking back from the front and starts chewing him out about something he did or didn't do, and going on, and he's standing there cowing with his head bowed and his shoulders curled in his suit with his black belt on and stuff, looking like a little boy that's about to be spanked. And his wife ends it by saying, if you don't straighten up, you're going to be walking home. Funny. He's his instructor. It was a pretty telling moment. Another time, sitting at a friend's house, sitting in the kitchen, and we're talking several years ago. And this friend is a bodybuilder, really big guy, rides a Harley, and a lot of people think that means he must be a leader, and they look up to him in that way. We were discussing being a husband and the role of that in the family, and he was then explaining why you can't make your wife do things and you can't get your wife to do stuff, and how he couldn't get his wife to do stuff. And then he tried to defend his position by bringing in a theologian that we know, and how he talked about how he couldn't get his wife to do stuff, and therefore it's all right, and it's not really required of you to be in charge in your household. Well, in the middle of this, my wife walks into the kitchen for something, refill her tea or whatever. And as she walks in, I looked over at her and I said, "Honey." She looked at me and I said, "Sit down." So she sat down right there and then looked at me, waiting for my next instruction. And I looked over at my friend and said, "Right there's my response to everything you're saying." You see, there are a lot of men who have areas in their life where they haven't grown up, and they kind of refuse to grow up in those areas. They panic when you go near that because they really can't deal with it, and they've accepted the idea that they can't deal with it. So they end up marrying a woman who's strong in those areas, because then they can rely on her to be strong, and they don't never have to face the problems in themselves and grow up. Real common.